Hello, everyone. I'm back. I've had a very nice day speaking at the conference, and I have had a chance to relax a little bit. And I was watching Dapper Dino and Vishanti talk about Dwayne Gish and his, well, frankly, galloping nonsense. I don't think I think that's the end of the nonsense. I I've had a chance to think a little bit since I made my presentation, and I didn't get to make the presentation exactly as I intended, but that really doesn't matter. I knew I didn't like everything I had in my presentation to begin with, and I modified it ever so slightly. Hi, Stephanie, um, and I will wait a second. It's making me say "ho, Stephanie," and that's not what I'm trying to say. Um, Uh, Holy fuck. This thing. No. Hi. There we go. How did that work? Holy fuck, it didn't. Okay. So here we go. This thing is really annoying. Minimize that. Okay. Invite. That's what I want to do. Copy that. And I got to post this in here so if people want to come in and talk, they can come in and talk. Here we go. Hopefully that works. This is Stephanie. You may or may not be up for it, but you're welcome to come in if you want to. I think I haven't had a chance to have you on my show, and you've had me on yours, so that's not right. Anyway, I'll just continue on with what I'm thinking really quickly, and that is that the current state of science and research and the way the information is disseminated to the general population really sucks, and I guess we've known that for a long time. And it's something we sometimes point and laugh at on great funny shows like Bad Science Sunday that Maya does, and Dapper Dinosaur obviously does it, and I think Bree does a great job of that, and Doctor Dino does that. Um, I think a lot of great people do. Those are ones that are coming to my mind right away, but I think the people that debunk the flat Earth conspiracy theorists. Um, I see I see this everywhere, and some of this stuff's obvious. It's obvious that the flat Earth isn't flat, and it's obvious that those people have lost their minds. It may not be like really obvious immediately. You can look out your front door and say, "Oh, wow, I don't see a curve." If you live in certain places, you might be able to look out at the ocean and see a curve if you have something to gauge it against. But yeah, no, I get it. People could be confused. People could misunderstand what's going on, and flat earthers that are convinced that we're all being lied to definitely do that. But this isn't about flat earthers. This is about people living with any type of disease or condition, whether it be chronic or acute. The the problem I see is that there's a dearth of factual, reliable information. And case in point is after watching Dapper's great little presentation there, and Vishanti always does a great job at backing him up, and they're a good duo. Actually, everyone he has on his channel are really great personalities that work well with each other, and obviously he knows what he's doing. But that's its own science, I suppose. Maybe somewhat of an art. But I thought about the bitchmate timer for Sal Cordova, and I was like, oh, I haven't heard Sal talk about what he thinks is going on for a while. So I just thought I'd Google Sal, and I found him on the internet there, and I looked him up, and he's a researcher. Of course, he's worked with John Stanford or Sanford. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But he's worked with that person and some others, and his his take on things is I guess based on biblical literalism and trying to prove that if one thing in science is wrong, therefore God. I mean, it's pretty much that simple. I'm not sure how much content Saul makes. I know he's argued with people, and I just looked at some of the articles he's involved with really quickly, and it looks like he's got one where he thinks mathematically it doesn't model out properly. I read the abstract really quickly, and I'm thinking about maybe I'll do like an actual thing on this if there's interest. If anybody's interested, let me know. If not, I'll leave it alone. I'm sure other people have ripped them apart, but he talks about in the abstract about how it's been hard to mathematically model evolution as a survival of the fittest type of situation. And I thought to myself, don't mention Godel the Sal here, start throwing math, but yeah, Stephanie, I think Sal he's got a short fuse, and I guess I do too in certain scenarios. So, but yeah, Sal Cordova is an interesting character because he puts on the facade of really wanting to back up science and scientific research and scientific data and math and statistics and stuff like that. But, underneath that is a presupposition that his conclusion that the Bible is literally true is fucking the basis of everything. And yeah, no, I agree. He's nuts. But I was just reading through the abstract. I'm like, I read it and I was like, okay, well, he's saying that there's this concept that there should be like a maximal level of fitness for an environment, that you'd reach maximum fitness. But he's like, no, animals are not reaching maximum fitness. In some populations are in stasis, or there's some sort of degradation, whatever that means. And I know that there's a creationist talking point, and I've never understood it that somehow we all started out perfect. And I know that was the idea, like the fall, the Adam and Eve story, Genesis, that the fall created an entropy, a genetic entropy of where we lose information. They use that word. They lose information, which I find really fucking crazy. But I'm a truck driver, not a scientist, so I'm not super well equipped to talk about this. But let's face it, Sal Cordova is the fucking loony, not a scientist. I don't know if he's being paid to be a scientist, but when he talks, he comes off as someone who's not grounded in reality. And I guess my thought is that survival of the fittest doesn't necessarily mean that you would reach like a mathematical 100% fitness for your environment. You, as they say, if you and your best buddy are trying to outrun a grizzly bear, the one of you that's the faster runner is the one that will live to tomorrow. Doesn't necessarily mean you have to be the fastest goddamn guy on Earth. Hello, D. Bechiston. Bechiston? I'm terrible at pronunciations. Bechiston. Anyway, welcome, D. I'm gonna call you D. How's that? Welcome. So yeah, I'm thinking if the bread of life, he ditched bread of life because she told people that trans people are just people and Christians should be nice to them. Well, Stephanie, there's nothing less Christian than being nice to people. Jesus Christ famously said, whoever you see in the world, he said this in English too because Jesus Christ was an American. He said, whoever you see out in the world, you need to recognize in them a total asshole and someone who you should not respect and you should treat with a great deal of derision. Jesus famously said that. That's why people follow Jesus, because Jesus said, whoever isn't like you should treat like shit. Commander, you are here. How are you? Sadly currently at work. You have tomorrow going to put some public domain horror movies. Then she's gonna let people come. Sci-fi Theater 3000. That sounds great, Commander. I'm sure people would like that. I've never been a huge fan of like those like B movie things, but I bet some of those old horror movies are really cool and really laughable too, and very very Octobery because October is October is for fun with the spooky things. It's the spooky month. No, I think Jesus as a character in the Bible comes off as being. Oh wow, I'm gonna have to figure this out in a second, Stephanie. I'm just gonna finish what I'm saying with Jesus because I was not very nice to Jesus in Dapper Stream when Dr. Tapp said, "What's holding Jesus together?" and I said 3 nails and a couple of logs. That was terrible. I should not have said that. So, because it's not true. Jesus has been dead for 2,000 years. He's not being held together by anything. But the religion, also not being held together, has scattered into many many pieces. There may be more versions of Christianity than there are grains of sand on Earth. I'm not really sure. So I'm gonna just say that hello, Bree is here. Okay. So I'm just going to say people can join in if they want to. I can't do this for long because I've got to go out for dinner with one of my friends from the conference here, and hopefully her husband is coming as well. And we're going to go have a meal and have a chat. But I'm going to do this for 10 more minutes. How's that sound? If anybody wants to come in, we're going to talk. We're going to talk about how Sal has been there for nearly 200 days, like 194 or 95 days or something like that. He's on the bitch made timer, and he's on there because the guy can't have the intellectual honesty to complain about something that he's actually watched and given some critical thought to. And I saw the thing. Hello, Carol. Hello, Carol Kinzer. So Carol, that's thank you for putting up. I recognize Pride, I recognize Trans, and I recognize a Black Heart. So I'm assuming that's love for everyone. I don't really know. I think it's a Black Heart. It's very small. And honestly, in this hotel room, everything's totally fucked up. So anyway, I won't complain about Sal a whole lot more. I'm just going to say I hate the fact that someone with that little intellectual honesty, and I've heard him complain about like the most ridiculous things to try and disprove the concept of evolution, like finding one little problem somewhere or like suggesting that evolution is somehow going to like reach a maximum level is nonsense. In living creatures, there's a balance is reached, and being the most fit for your environment doesn't necessarily mean that you reach this maximal capacity. And I know I just got that from the abstract, and that's kind of bullshit creationists would pull. So I'm not going to say this is a video about that. I'm just going to say, even as a starting premise, that's fucking bullshit. There's no way you're mathematically going to find that anyone is going to reach their maximal potential in evolution just because so many generations have been around or whatever. That's just kind of a bullshit thing. It doesn't make sense because all you got to do is be the best. You got to be better than everybody else to survive. But if you have like the biggest brain in the whole world of any creature, and your brain is really, really big, and you look like Megamind or something like that, so much energy from your day-to-day activities would go into that brain power that you might actually just keel over and die. But that's probably like really like overly simplistic, but it is true. Like there are limitations to what any body can do, and if you maximize this, like the evolution of just one aspect of yourself, or even 5 or 6 or 1,000, doesn't matter. If you get to the maximum that what the environment can handle, doesn't mean you're the best. It means you're wasting resources, probably. So that's my take on it. I'm not a mathematician, not a scientist, except insofar as I'm willing to test and study things and give them a shot myself, and I've done it before. So um, Dr. Tap backed me up on that. So, and he's like a science guy, something like that. Anyway, I said I've done science because I've tested, acceleration due to gravity myself and recorded it and come up with the answer. So there you go. So let's talk about something fun. I've been at this conference, and I want to say that one of the greatest things about coming to a conference like this is meeting real people in real life. Because real people in real life, flesh and blood people, is something that we stopped doing due to what did you call it? The COVID. Yes, thank you, Bree. And yes, weasels are wonderful. Well, five weasels in a trench coat. Dr. Tap, he's adequate anyway as a physics guy. He's actually like Dr. Tap might not tell you this, but he's actually an atomic laser blaster, and hopefully he'll come here and see that I said that and laugh at that terrible misrepresentation. But I do know that he blasts the fuck out of atoms with a laser. So that's fine. Anyway, so here's the thing. I am wanting to give kudos to the concept that people get together online, because that's awesome, and on the phone and on chats and all sorts of stuff. But getting together with people in person and sharing information has been absolutely fantastic. I have been enjoying it. And there's just it's a different vibe. And when I got to go to the other conference, I got to go there for most of a week, and it was in a way even better because I got to hang out with people for longer and get to know them. And we went out for a couple of different meals and stuff. And this one's a little quieter for me in that regard. But I did see people I know from the organization that I've been working with in the past, which is Obesity Canada, and I got to meet some people from Diabetes Canada, which is the organization that I'm somewhat involved with here. Not my main thing, but meeting these people in person, people we've talked to in different scenarios. A lot of this stuff gets organized by Zoom style meetings and whatnot. I just want to give kudos to anyone who's able to get together and study and change whatever goes on in the world. Whether it be science, medicine, a combination of the two. I think a lot of people around here are into biology. A lot of people are into debunking bad science and debunking just, misinformation. And, it's great that we now have a place where people are accepted. And I think one of the greatest things about the internet is that you can even be anonymous. And I'm not super anonymous on here, and some are, some aren't. But you can just be a talking avatar. You can be 100% yourself. You can, maybe dox yourself completely or not. Depends on who you are and what you want to do. But this is a place where ideas can be shared. They can be looked at. They can be considered. They can be talked about, and real science can be done. Can be discussed. But it's great to see people in person. One of the things I wanted to say about today that was really cool, because here in Montreal, there's this cool thing going on. I don't know what it is. I haven't looked it up because I'm bad at Google. But I thought maybe people would like it and appreciate it, because it's something that I haven't seen in a long, long time. Partly because I live out in the boonies and stuff like this doesn't happen. But I think possibly due to Halloween and possibly due to other stuff, there are a lot of people who are I don't want to say this, so hopefully people won't jump on me for this, but they are people who I think are a combination of trans and uh, some people are not trans, but they're maybe drag queens or something of that nature. So there's a whole bunch of them that are dressed up in all sorts of amazing gear, like ball gowns and stuff. Oh, Skeptic Haven fundraiser 4 minutes. Thank you for letting everyone know about that, and everyone should go to that because I'm going to be heading out, and I'll make sure I'm done in like 2 more minutes. And because I'm actually getting a message here, am I? I'm getting a message. All right. Okay. I am going to this place. So I'm going to be leaving here very shortly. So I'm going to say this is what I thought was really cool, is that a lot of times people who are dressing up for like whatever it be, cosplay, drag queens. I guess there's probably drag kings as well. I don't think I saw any of those. I saw these people who are accommodation performers, and then when I got to another part of the facility, because there's like a big sort of conference center here where people are hanging out. It's also there's a big underground city, so it's just a way for people to walk around indoors in Montreal, which is a city that gets a lot of pretty terrible weather in the winter. So it's really cool that you can walk around without coming outdoors. If you live and work downtown, you can just walk everywhere downtown, underground, or maybe just cross 1 or 2 blocks. And Toronto, where I grew up, is also like that. There's a big underground city that connects things, so you do not have to deal with terrible weather if you're on foot everywhere. Some places you can't avoid it, but some you can. So I'll definitely look into this Rebecca Davis thing that Stephanie posted. I'm just going to say it's really cool to see people that have gone out of their way to do themselves up, because no matter what gender you are, getting dressed up every a night on the town with a lot of crazy makeup and a great ball gown and everything, that's a lot of work. And it was cool to see all these people that were doing that. And I just want to say thank you to everybody that is every different type of person, no matter who you are, no matter what you are. It doesn't matter what type of um, gender you have, your gender expression, your gender identity, sex, whatever. It doesn't matter what color you are. It doesn't matter what religion you are, what culture you're from, country you're from, where you were born, what's happened. You are all people, and you deserve a great deal of respect. And I just want to say that for someone that spends a lot of time driving a truck and separated from people, it is really, really cool to see people that are getting together and having fun and doing something neat. And that's something that's cool to see in a city. And yes, Carol, LGBTQ. I think that's a good way to sum it up. But I also want to put my own letters in there. And not to latch onto it, but to say I'm not just an ally, but I'm part of humanity, and I want to say that I don't need anyone to shine a light on my sexuality or my gender presentation. Those things are pretty much out there and normal and normalized. And that doesn't mean those other things aren't normal. It's just that everyone's sort of accepting of who I am. It's normal for people to look at me and say, "Oh, there's a guy. That's a man." Um, and other people aren't necessarily having that same experience of being normalized and accepted, and they should. So I just want to say that that is something needs more of that needs to happen, and I want to say that having the chance to speak as a patient living with obesity, living with diabetes, living with MAFLD, and all these other things are giving me a chance to talk about what affects me in my life and the way I'm treated, mistreated, changed. You backed the truck into the dock. Very good, Commander. I think there's a good chance you get unloaded done. Hopefully, get on the road, and we can hopefully see you at some point tomorrow. Although I'll be doing a lot of driving tomorrow in my personal vehicle to get back. I don't have to work till 6 o'clock on Monday morning. So I'm going to wrap it all up. I'm going to say thank you to everyone for coming. Really appreciate it. Get over to Skeptic Haven. I think they're going to do some great stuff there. Thank you, Dee. Good night to you. I want to thank everybody that comes now or in the future and watches this. Just want to say, be good people. You already are. Anyone that comes here is, I'm sure, a good person. But be good to each other, respect each other, and make room for everyone. Good night, all. I think that's a 5 minute.